What's up, brother?
How you doing?
You good? And you?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
Yeah. Introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are.
Well, actually, my name is Emanuel Washington. In the project, everybody knew me as Babo. I am currently associate minister at the Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church down on 2614 James School, Papa Bell, formerly Dixon Street. That's where we went to church across from the Pruitt-Igoe housing projects.
Right off Leffenwell. Is that right off Leffenwell?
No, it used to be Dixon and Elliott.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So that's where I grew up. Most of the people know me by Babo, but my real name is Emanuel Washington, and that's what I go by now.
You say you down in the projects. I guess you spend like the Pruitt-Igoe.
Pruitt-Igoe. Yeah. It was. In fact, I was born, raised, and right in Pruitt-Igoe.
Okay.
You know, I think I was born 1 month after they erected the
buildings.
The buildings and stuff like that.
These like what, 50, 52?
When now?
No. You said you was born when they first started 54. The building. 54.
54.
Okay.
Yeah. 1954.
But you was right then and there.
I was in there. In fact, I guess my birth helped build it.
Yeah. Hey, in a way.
Yeah.
Talk about growing up in the Pruitt-Igoe.
First of all, Pruitt-Igoe was a world by itself. When we used the term projects, at that time it was one of the greatest thing that we thought was created. Everybody got along, people knew each other, the parents was close knit, and my mother raised us like, once you're a parent, you always a parent, whether it's your child or your neighbor child. Everybody looked out for each other. We had people that cared about each other down there. In fact, I could not have become the person that I am if it had not been for certain people that, took me under their wings, outside of my mother.
They said like a village, take a village, like the village helped raise a child, basically.
Well,
you had a community
that's
looking out for you.
Right, something like that. But I think my mother hit the nail on the head when she said, once you're a parent, you're always a parent, however, your parental guiding go as far as life will allow it to go, and you care and you help raise other people's kids. One of the guys that was very instrumental in my life, his name was Elder Duke Russell, and his mother Ruby Russell. They would knock on my mother's door, and if they needed something, my mother would say, hey, whenever you need something or you need him, just come get him, And Duke gave me some sound advice when I was, after I graduated from the 8th grade. He said, look, go to high school and stay there. He said, you don't need to get caught up. You don't need to get caught up in none of this stuff that's going on. You're going to look back 4 years later and say, wow, I just got here. So people like that, and there was other people, but people like that made your life worth living. When we used to have this thing called the Fun Boat, summer programs and stuff like that, and every year I had a job because those people looked out for me. And people, the kids and stuff, we was like, it was like a friendly environment that we grew up in. Everybody pretty much knew each other from Biddle Street all the way back to Cass Avenue. So it was it wasn't that bad, until the later years when things started happening and stuff like that. But we grew up in the church, and we tried to spread that through our acquaintance and friendship with other kids in the projects. I know you heard about Leon Spinks and Michael Spinks, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
We all went to school together, so we were supporting each other every chance we got. You know, hey, we was glad that they made it to the heavyweight championship and stuff like that. So you learn. It was a real foundation for learning and growing and looking out for each other. That's what the project was.
Most definitely.
They might have tore the building down, but they didn't tear the soul of Pruitt-Igoe down.
He said it's still thriving to today.
Yeah, you know, we got people, man, that know what it was like coming up in the projects. You know, like I say, it wasn't an adventure by itself.
I heard you mention the Spinks brothers. One just recently passed.
Leon,
yes. Hey, how was Leon growing up in the Pruitt-Igoe?
he was just a normal kid. You know, he was just a normal kid. When he got into boxing, you know, we didn't know he was going to go that far, but it just goes to show you, just because you grew up in a project, that don't put you on a lower level of humanity or society. You know, once you develop and, you know, get into what you really want to do, you know, it's a lot of great people came out of the project. Maxine Waters, you know, grew up, you know, down there. If I ain't mistaken, you know, I think I'm right, yeah, because we knew a lot of her siblings and relatives and stuff like that. So we, Pruitt-Igoe produced a lot of good people with talent, singing groups and stuff like that. It was full of talent. It was full of talent. And if you grew up in Pruitt-Igoe and surrounding projects, you know, you could have been anything you wanted to be. And that's basically what Pruitt-Igoe meant: opportunity, success, until, you know, other things start happening.
You say you speak about other things, like what exactly are you saying?
Well, you know, other things like when people start coming in from the outside and doing stuff like that, you know, a lot of things that gave Pruitt-Igoe a bad name wasn't really from within the project. It came from outside of the project. And it was one of those things that we had to make sure that we didn't become a part of, and, you know, whatever. But it was a lot of good times in Pruitt-Igoe.
Well, they kind of like relate to Pruitt-Igoes are kind of give it kind of like the background of like the Combining Green, did I say it right, in Chicago.
You know what? We weren't as bad as that.
Yeah.
The Chicago project, you know, I don't think we were as bad. We had our moments now, don't get me wrong. But you hear stories about the projects in Chicago, you know, it was like, Pruitt-Igoe was like a resort, you know.
They're saying something.
Yeah.
I heard.
It was like a resort, and we heard stories about it, but we were not as large as a Bonnie Green and all those things in Chicago. We wasn't that big.
I was just a kid, just like I just picturing in my head just the area, whereas I didn't see it. Of course, I just seen like the demolished part of it, I guess, was left of it anyway.
When they tore down.
I just always wonder, like, what was this field? What was it? And I just recently figured out what it was, like within the last 7 years. I seen like the Pruitt-Igoe myth. They had like a video or something like that on YouTube, like a documentary.
Yeah, it was sad. It was sad when you see the buildings blown up and coming down. Like I say, my mother wanted the first to move in and wanted the last to move out. But it was like a place that you call home. And the name Pruitt-Igoe still means a lot because of the people that invested so much into it, you know, with their lives. We had a place that we could call home. The schools was right there, Carlane, Pruitt, Blewett, all place was right there and made it even more convenient for, you know, we would walk to school, you know. We used to walk from Jefferson all the way up to Vashon High School, right up Dixon Street, you know, and that was, you know, and we had fun. We had fun doing that. We had fun.
Describe some fun times in Pruitt-Igoe.
Outside barbecues, baseball. I remember the time we used to play football on concrete, you know, basketball, all that stuff. You know, those was fun times. Oh, dances. If you know how to bop, the bop came out of Pruitt-Igoe. You know, you couldn't live in Pruitt-Igoe if you didn't know how to bop.
So you could live down there if you know how to bop.
No, you had to know how to bop. But those were some good times, man. We had our recreation, our parties. They used to bring in stuff like the fun bowl and stuff like that, where kids could really enjoy themselves. We knew what it was like to be a kid. Nowadays, these kids don't know what it's like to be a kid because they're growing up too fast, and it's sad because you got these young kids, man, that, you know, I feel sorry for a lot of them, and that's what my ministry is all about, the Life of Job ministry. You know, a lot of people don't really understand or haven't realized that, but, you know, we as a people have portrayed the life of Job, and now it's time for us to wake up. Now it's time for us to start training and giving our kids and raising our kids accordingly, and not be going on what a lot of different religion myth is all about.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the Life of Job ministry is like, we've been taught that God put Job through a lot of suffering. But Job's suffering actually came from his friends, the people around him. Because if you really read the Bible, when God told Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job?" God presently actually stood in the character of Job. But 99.99% of the people will walk in Job's shoes, because we have to be patient and perseverance, you know, when it comes to our lives. But, you know, and this is what I'm trying to teach our kids nowadays. Don't let the misconception of the book and the life of Job discourage you. Think about the positive side, that God is always with you. And He say, "I will be with you to the end of the earth. I will never leave you." So when we get to the point in this time to get away from the false teaching and the misguided teaching and start teaching what is real, you know, when it comes to their religious and their Christian and their spirituality growth, then we'll be all right. We'll bring back the old Pruitt-Igoe unity and spirit and help raise our kids accordingly.
Would you say that today's generation of children, they lack, like you say, back then you had like community resources, like the fun boat, things like that. Do you think today children don't have that?
They're trying to bring it. They're trying to implement that. But look at the crime rate. It's sad that a lot of kids, man, we're losing a lot of our young kids due to irresponsible people. You know, how many young kids have been shot or killed because what's going on with some of our young people? You know, drive-by and stuff like that. We need to get away from that, man. We need to take more responsibility of who we are as a people. And, you know, it got to stop sooner or later. The buck stops here. We need to take responsibility. We need to be the type of people that, hey, we need to be more concerned, not just about ourselves, but those that have to come behind us. And like you say, do I think that the kids have that today? I like to see more of it.
I mean, it's there, but then another thing, most of the children, they kind of gravitate It was, they say, he who controls the images, media or whatever, controls the mind. So the media pushes like a negative, at least towards our community, a negative perception of how life should be, as far as how a black man should carry themselves, how a young woman should carry themselves in our community, which we know is not true. But let's just say the media portrays us as thugs, you know, they call them Jezebels or whatever. Mm-hmm. And most kids, they see that, so they think that's the normal life. They think that's the way they should live.
And it's not. You know, you touched on a real subject when you say mind. Mm-hmm. We need to give them a mind that they can see themselves in and as a part of. We have been religiously misled. You know, when you really get into the truth and the heart of religion, you know, we need to teach them what the true definition and concept of what God is, or who God is. God is the spirit. Ye that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So, you know, even back then, we were subject to look at this picture of a white Jesus, and that's not it. Jesus not white. He's not black. But in retrospect, he's in every nationality. Once we get past the color part, mm-hmm. which is a part of racism and all that other stuff, and, you know, get everybody on the same page. You know, the Bible speaks of one mind. We need to get everybody on the same page. So teaching them properly and rightly from the book itself, from the Bible itself, mm-hmm. then I think we would be doing something that would be positive and give our kids something that they can use as their tool to say, no, I'm going with the truth. Truth is the only safe ground you can stand on. And when we get away from that, you know, let them know what they're capable of, what their abilities are. You know, our kids these babies coming in the world are born with talent.
Yes.
They are born with talent, and this is what we need to start feeding them. You know, you can do this. You know, they see LeBron James and all these other basketball players. You can do the same thing. But we, as adults, have to support them. We have to make a way for them to be able to accomplish that in their lives. So if it comes to making small, several sacrifices, yeah, we can do that. And this is what we gonna have to do. You know, it used to. I don't know, man. It's just that I sit back and I think about, you know, what can we do to bring that to the forefront, so kids can make that change. You don't have to be because somebody else has that perspective about you, you know, like you say, the media or whatever, or portraying you as the person. No, you don't have to continue to do that, or to be like that. Like you say, people like the adults, it's up to us to really be a major influence instead of the YouTube, instead of the TVs and things like that. Instead of just sitting your child in front of the TV, you got to actually interact with them. And you know what, man? I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of these TV shows that they're producing that portrays blacks in a certain way, that's not helping.
No.
We need more positive TV shows that our kids can look at. And even though it's a reality right now, but we need more influence in those shows to let other kids know that, hey, you don't have to be like this. You know, we're showing you what is going on, but at the same time, we also want to show you what you can prevent in your own life. You can make that decision and say, no, I don't want to be like that. I see the danger in it. I see the derogatory aspect of it, and parents need to sit down with their kids when they watching those TV shows and say, now you see that? That's not what you're supposed to do. You see that? That's what you are supposed to do. And without the parent being there with them, a lot of these kids are watching TVs and coming up and imitating these folks because they ain't got nobody sitting there with them. So, you know.
But then especially, as I say, just with times like now, with the kids being home, some parents are being home, forced to be home because of, you know, the virus and everything. It's kind of hard for the parent, even like most black household, majority of single parent households. So it's kind of hard for the parent to balance the work life with the home life. It's like, let's say for one person, that's a lot to deal with children and actually, you know, take on their personal life obstacles and just the world obstacles that they're facing right now.
You know, and that was the good part about Pruitt-Igoe. Parents were parents to other people's kids. If somebody saw me doing something, first thing they would do is tell my mother, Miss Washington, blah, 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 that. And that was the basic definition of once you're a parent, you always a parent. Whether it's your biological child, whether it's your niece, your nephew, your whatever. These parents looked out for each other. Like I say, I had some good people looking out for me, you know. I give Duke Russell a lot of credit for taking me by the hand. You know, I used to sell newspaper for him on Sunday morning before I went to church. And in fact, one time I was in Detroit, and he told my mother, he said, where's Babo at? And she said, well, he's up there visiting his auntie. She said, can you call him, tell him to come home? I got a job for him. I was on that Greyhound bus coming back to St. Louis, because that's the kind of people we had looking out for us, man. You know, when you can go through life and give credit where credit is due. You know, his mother was the same way. She was like the Harriet Tubman of the projects. You know, always helping people. You know, like I say, there was some more, but at the same time, you know, I can pinpoint a lot of credit and give it to, give recognition to the people that helped got me where I'm at today. And like my mother would tell her, you need him, come get him. So, you know, Pruitt-Igoe was, like I say, it was a world by itself. We had everything, you know. We had everything going for us. But like I say, we made the adjustment until we had to move out. So
how was that moving out? How was that experience? Being forced to move out.
Being forced to move out, where a lot of people, you know, you see people that you cared about, and you get to that point where you say, wow, how did something this great end up this bad? You know, I don't have an answer for it, but if Pruitt-Igoe was still standing today, a lot of people probably would have still been there. But, you know, hey, that's, like I say, you hear about a moment in black history. And, you know, we have to learn from that. We have to learn from that, just like we learned from a lot of our black leaders and the things that black people went through with slavery and racism and prejudice and stuff like that. That's the saddest part about this country, you know, is that you put race over God and love and compassion and all that other stuff. You know, that's something we're gonna have to break that chain. You heard of the song, there's power in the name Jesus. Break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. We have to break those chains, you know, and we need everybody to get involved. Black, white, whatever. You know, we need everybody that wants to make this society a better society. We need everybody to get involved. You know, you got some good black people, you got some good white people, and those kids gonna suffer, man. If we stay on the path that we on right now, you know, we all of us got to step up to the plate. Every last one of us got to step up to the plate.
So earlier, you made a statement about your ministry, saying that one of the goals is to teach the truth about religion.
It is okay. One of the biggest one is all have sinned. Romans 3:23. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. In order for children to develop a relationship and identity with who God is and who Christ is, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, you got a lot of preachers out there that do not want to not so much challenge that, but you got to deal with that, because first of all, when you teaching kids the basic foundation of religion, study to show thyself approved unto God, rightly divide the word of truth. We all fall short before we even come into the knowledge of who God is or what sin is.
Yeah, because I wanted to kind of like touch on that, like you said about the force, who God is. Like me myself, I grew up in the church loosely with my grandmother, but like kind of recently, like within the last few years, I kind of started doing my own research outside of the church. I kind of started dabbling into like spirituality and things like that. My personal preference, personal opinion, I would say I believe in a higher power.
Yep.
But I don't necessarily believe in organized religion. Like the structure of organized religion is how it's presented. I believe it's a message in it, like as far as like, I believe all of them is the same thing. It's just a different perception of Buddhism, Christianity, baptism, Baptist. I believe it's just a different perspective, and then like you say, it's one God. Like why do Jesus? Why do they put a race on him instead of just saying, hey, it's just one person or a spirit?
I think it's Gospel of John 4:24. God is a spirit. Ye that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. If you think about what you're reading and look at what you're really reading, the fact is that in Matthew 19:14, suffer the little children and forbid them not to come unto me. Forbid them not to come unto me. Get away from the false teaching. Move, my mother always say, move self out the way. Forbid them not to come unto me. And when you start not teaching children, train up a child in the way they should go, and by the time they get older, they will not depart from it. And when you start teaching them the right way, you help them to overcome the misguided and the false teaching of religion. You know, when I was young, I was very, very rebellious because I knew something wasn't right. You know, I couldn't see how black people were being treated, and God allowed this to go on. I was young, and at that point in my life, you know, we was raised up in the project, we went to church and everything, but as I got older and what God had done for me and the things that he had brought, the revelation that he had brought to my life, my understanding about him, then I can take a different approach now, like I'm doing now. So if you want to teach a child spirituality, rightly divide the word of truth. Heavenly Father, I have fallen short of your glory because of sin, which is flesh. I have sinned against you. Help them to understand. 3:23, Romans 3:23 is like a bus. All of us been thrown under the bus until we come into the knowledge, until we come into the right teaching of what the scripture actually really means. 2 Timothy 3:16. all scripture are given as inspiration of God for doctrine, reproof, and correction, for instruction in righteousness, which is Jesus Christ. Help our kids to develop an identity first before they start claiming sin. You know, we all born in sin and shaped in iniquity. We born in flesh and shaped in the craftiness of men. So there's a way we're gonna have to get through to them to help them understand and how to break this down and how to approach it in order, you know, because I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of kids, well, I'm a sinner anyway, so blah blah this, blah blah. No, wrong attitude to take. Don't go on what somebody else said. Find out for yourself. I was told you have to find out. You know, you have to get to know God for yourself. And like Jesus said in Matthew 19 and 14, forbid them not. So we have to find a way to help them or forbid them not to come unto God, because this is Jesus standing there with his arms wide open. But it's going to have to take us. This one book that I have by James H. Harris, he said the black preacher has a responsibility to re-examine the gospel message in light of the mysterious social reality that constantly faces blacks and poor in the face. So when I read that, my mind got to working. Yeah, we need to re-examine the gospel message in order for us to bring about a change in our religion. We have always accepted what somebody else said. That time is out. We ain't accepting what you say no more, because you showing us different things, you know, with all this racism and prejudice and, you know, all this other stuff that's going on with Trump and all that other stuff. You're showing us something different. You tell us one thing, but you're showing us something different.
Coming to a closing here, what message can you leave with the people?
Look, my message is like my little card says, saving our children. My message is for the religious leaders. A lot of us gonna have to take a look at what James Harris said. Re-examine the gospel message in light of the mysterious social reality that has constantly stared blacks and poor in the face. You know, if I can't stop you from believing what you want to believe, but I'm not gonna let your false teaching and hinder my growth and my ability to help me do my part and save our children. Because once I do my part and lead them to Christ, he's gonna be the one to save them. That's where their salvation and redemption lies, in his hands.
Amen. Let the people know where they can find you at.
Well,
I know you said it earlier in the interview. Let them know, like, where is your church located, where they can come.
My church is at Morning Star, 2614 James School, Papa Bell. I'm in the process of publishing my second book. My first book, The Making of a Masterpiece, but I'm in the process of publishing my second book right now. And my second book is I hopefully that will help a lot of people really take a look at where we come from, where we at, and where we need to go.
Let them know they can find you on social media.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Emanuel Washington, and I put a lot of stuff out there to let people know that my ministry is the Life of Job ministry, because I walked in Job's shoes. You know, I walked in Job's shoes when I had to make that decision to either do what God wanted me to do or to do what I wanted to do. I had to do what God wanted to do. So there's a certain sacrifice that we all have to go through in order to get the blessing from God that he has for us to do his will.